In this episode, we're going to go ahead and deal with some of the same things we did in the last one, but we're adding a new concept to this. And what I stuck at the beginning is going to be the end result of this process. We're going to work something out on the keyboard because I know people like to use MIDI keyboards, but I like to, again, stress the importance of notation because you see things in a totally different way than you normally would if you're just using MIDI keyboards and DAWs. And in this, we're going to deal with disturbing low end chords for tension. And lately, my argument's been against using full ensemble style patches like full strings. So we're going to do a diminished based thing. And we're not going to use the diminished scale either. Either one that can form over this particular chord. The B diminished. Fully diminished seventh. We're going to use the seventh mode of harmonic minor. Some people like to call it fancy names like ultra Locrian, Locrian double flat 7. And these days we seem to place a lot of importance on these naming schemes, and just name it whatever you want. It's the seventh mode of harmonic minor. We're going to voice this in first inversion like this, but an octave lower. You're going to have to look at the keyboard on the screen. So it's really muddy and low. In the romantic area, you're going to find this mode all the time, by the way. Doing stuff like this. And in fact, we'll keep that. Groups of 4 in a triplet, which will sound kind of cool, the syncopation. 4 and 4 to 3. Something like that. So we'll do something like this. Maybe twice like that, then answer it with some kind of answer. Something like this. Twice. Answer. A little bit of syncopation makes it sound strange at slow speed. Now it's going to rise an octave. This is what we'll do. Continuously rising, so it creates a buildup. Sounds really weird slow because of the syncopation. Having a gradual rise, tense buildup. Now go write it out. So here we are with a quick draft, just with a no sound in particular. It's using piano. And I'll show you how that end line was derived in the low end, cutting out a measure there. It doesn't matter, it's a draft. Fast forward to throwing this at a bunch of groups. I did throw in some extra things here just for effect. How do we deal with that low end chord? Well, I divided into 4 bass players because they're one of the nastiest sounding groups, bass players. They're not very resonant sounding when they play chords. And plus I wanted the cellos to be free. And that's the other reason I did that. So like the previous episode, we're still using that pizz doubling effect on the little run. And I'm going to go ahead and resize this, and we'll go through a bunch of things here in a second after I resize this. And sorry I didn't go through the process of writing everything out in real time because it took a little time to work this out. And we're going to play back the notation version first, and it doesn't play it back quite correctly, and it's notation for you. That's why you have DAWs to mock things up once you're done. Now when you use actual division basses, it sounds much clearer and natural. So if you want a clearer, more authentic sound, use a single bass or divided basses, separate bass players if you have access to that kind of stuff. This is the other reason I wanted the basses free. I wanted to use that pizz effect that we did before. This time it's a little different. It's doubled at the unison and octave, but this time it's only playing... Well, here, let me play it like this. Here's what it's doing. Pizz is on the lower end. That's the hard thing about a keyboard. You can't play a unison. So the run has a unison pizz, and then it's displaced by an octave higher pizz. And I'll play it real slow back. So unlike the previous video, it's only partially doubling at first to create an interesting line by itself. So in addition to that low-end menacing chord, we now have these little parts that seem kind of independent. They're not, they're just doublings, but it gives a little bit of sense of independence of parts. So I stopped talking. Now let's play it back again. So we've built off the concept of the last episode and added a new concept, the low, muddy chord, intentional with divided basses. Moving on to the next page, this is the other reason I wanted the cellos free, is so they could start creating octave displacements of the same thing. Everything's just a massive double here at this point. Given a sense of crescendo, buildup, or tension. So the little run line goes from a unison to octaves to double octave, which is a super effective way to create a buildup. So we have that same line, and everything else at this point becomes just a double, exactly like the pizz was. Now it's with bowing, but split groups. Something I didn't clean up, sorry. So in essence, it just becomes a bigger and bigger double of the same parts. And the ending bass part, when they split from the chord, becomes just a part of the double. And speaking of proofreading, I didn't write unison there. They all become unison at that point, so when they depart the chord. So now what I did was just exported this to the DAW, and it allows me to play this back with the split basses, then the unison basses. And there's added extra measures because this tends to cut things off on playback. So hopefully there was something for everybody to get from this. And I'm going to move on to the next episode.